The areas along rivers are some of the best places to view wildlife. So tonight, the Arizona Wildlife Viewing Guide takes us on a leisurely cruise down the lower Colorado River, where wildlife, hidden coves, and plenty of history are just waiting to be discovered. Today, the Wildlife Viewing Guide points us south and west along our border with California and onto the very lifeblood of Arizona itself, the Colorado River. This portion of the river is known as the Lower Colorado, and we are checking out the 95 miles of it that flow between the Imperial Dam to the south and the Palo Verde Dam to the north.
The river down here it's kind of a serpentine river. It's not channelized for the most part, so it's in its natural state. And a lot of the attributes to that are that we do have a lot of National Wildlife Refuge lands that inhabit this stretch of the river. We have the Imperial National Wildlife Refuge, which basically starts at Martinez Lake, and that ends at Cibola National Wildlife Refuge. And that refuge continues on the river all the way up to essentially Cibola and Blythe area. So that's one of the reasons why we have such a pristine river down here, is we don't have human encroachment, and we do have it protected for the most part.
As Richard mentioned, part of that protection comes from the Imperial Wildlife Refuge. The refuge was established on Valentine's Day in 1941 and protects wildlife habitat along 30 miles of the lower Colorado River in Arizona and California, including the last non-channelized section before the river enters Mexico. More than half of the refuge's 25,000 acres is federally designated wilderness. Wilderness is protected to ensure that nature, not people, is the primary influence on this quiet, scenic place. If you visit the Wildlife Refuge, be sure to hike the beautiful painted desert trail. 20 to 30 million years ago, volcanic eruptions dominated this region and created the multicolored mounds that you see today. The loop trail is just over a mile and leads you through some of the wonders of the lower Sonoran Desert. Now, back to our trek up the river, beginning with our launch point at Martinez Lake.
Yeah, Martinez Lake is one of the few areas where there actually is development. Most of this lower river is pretty pristine for the most part, but Martinez Lake, there is a lot of private building going on, a lot of luxury homes. But it seems like for the most part, between the homes being built and the natural environment, it seems to mesh pretty well, and it doesn't get out of whack down here. So they both coexist pretty well down here. We have a lot of side channels along the main stem of the Colorado River, and through time they've become overgrown by a lot of the non-native species of habitat here, and we've had to open those up due to these being closed off to a lot of the backwaters and lakes that connect those. And so, in cooperation with the Bureau of Reclamation, a lot of other government agencies, they have done some widening projects on some of those side channels, thus improving water quality, water flow, oxygen, and creating better habitats for some of our endangered fish species, such as the razorback sucker.
While some of the side channels have been opened up, others are a little harder to find and may remind you of something out of the African Queen more than an Arizona river. But what you can find behind all this overgrowth reveals some jewels from Arizona's past, like an old miner shack called the Watchman's Cabin.
The lower Colorado River down here has a lot of history to it. And in our tour today, we passed a lot of the old mining operations that used to occur down here in the lower Colorado River. There's remnants of the old cable crossing where they used to cross cable crossing cars. And then right behind us where we're filming today is one of the old miners' cabins where they used to hang out and used to stay during the hot summer months. And then also some of the other things around here are that reflect the history are, there used to be Indians down here along the Colorado River, and that used to thrive. And there are remnants of rock petroglyphs along this lower Colorado River, which shows evidence of the past through the Indian tribes that used to inhabit this lower river.
The fact that these places remain basically undisturbed speaks to the remoteness of this area.
A lot of this stuff, it's still here and preserved because it is off the beaten path, so that makes it nice. Not everybody knows about it, and so, like again, it just ties into the natural state that this lower river is in, and you know, we like to preserve that and just keep it that way. So.
As you can imagine, a large water source like the Colorado River cutting through this arid desert is a beacon for wildlife.
It's just amazing to see this oasis and see wildlife thrive out here. Because when you drive out here, you do go through a lot of the lower Sonoran habitat, typified by the creosote flats, desert pavement, and then you come up onto this luxury of a river that has been untouched for the most part, and the wildlife and the habitat really do thrive along this lower Colorado River. We have anywhere from our small game species, non-game, to some endangered species. Some of our endangered species that are unique down here include the southwest willow flycatcher, and also some of our marsh bird species, for example, the Yuma clapperel, which is also an endangered marsh bird species. And then in the water itself, we do have the endangered razorback sucker, which is a native fish that used to thrive here, but through the damming of rivers and elevated temperatures and those procedures, it has become pretty much extinct, but that is a species that we are reintroducing down here and is starting to thrive. As far as other species down here, we do have several big game species, for example, the desert bighorn sheep. This unit here is part of Game Management Unit 43B, and it's one of our most productive and most abundant sheep wildlife units in the state, and they do very well down here. And further with that, we have mule deer, desert mule deer that inhabit this lower stretch of the river on the sides of the river, as well as wild horses and burros. They thrive and do very well down here. Other species that we do have down here are some of our waterfowl species. They do migrate down here, and we have anything from the common American coot to widgeon and Canada geese. Of course, our fish species are kind of world-renowned down here, especially the flathead catfish and largemouth bass. Flathead catfish, they can get up to 80 plus pounds. So this area is known for, for its quality flathead catfish, and people come from all over the state and the nation to fish down here for them.
Just as wildlife are drawn to the river, so are people who want to enjoy all the different kinds of recreation it has to offer.
Depending on the time of year is the type of recreation that occurs down here. In the springtime right now is when the bass fishing gets really, really good because the bass are spawning, they're on beds. And so right now, a lot of our recreational boaters are the angling public. We have a lot of tournaments on the weekends down here, both state, local, and federal fishing tournaments. So you'll see a lot of that during the week and on the weekends, fishing for largemouth bass. And then just the general local angler comes out here on the weekends to recreate fishing and just boating in general down here. During the summer months, though, it becomes a little different clientele. We have a lot of the Southern California folks who come out here and down here with their jet skis, wakeboarding, and things like that. And when the water level drops down here on the lower river, we do have a lot of sandbars that are exposed. And so that's where a lot of the boats tie up and they recreate on the sandbars. The wintertime is usually the calm season. It's when you can see the most wildlife because, a lot of the waterfowl species, bird species have migrated down here, so it's a really nice time of the year. The weather's not too hot. But then again, during the summer, it is a great place to come. During the week, you don't have to fight those weekend crowds. During the week, it's not as busy, so you can see bighorn sheep coming out of the water, things like that.
Along with enjoying the river for recreation, millions of people in Arizona and California depend on the lower Colorado River to support their municipal, agricultural, and industrial water and power needs. Fortunately, many state, federal, and tribal stakeholders are working together to ensure the future of the river.
Like I said, I've been all up and down the state along the Colorado River, and this is really a unique area as far as human encroachment, and to keep it in its natural state, really is important to me. I think that the wildlife species we have are unique down here, and I think it's just important to keep it in its natural state, and that's what I feel is important to me is just the natural beauty of the lower Colorado